Good morning, my dear student. I'm Dr. Kiran Ramrao Borkar. Now today I'm going to discuss about the structure and function of gastric gland. So, but before the starting of the structure and function of gastric gland, I just tell you about the stomach. There are main region or four main region of the stomach, that is cardiac region, fundus region, and body or corpus and pyloric region. All these are the four main region of the stomach. So first of all, we see here cardiac region. Look at this. This portion is that the cardiac region. This cardiac region is the upper part of the stomach and where esophagus opens. The opening is guarded by a sphincter, and that sphincter is called as a cardiac sphincter, which opens only towards the stomach. And this portion is known as a cardiac end. Now, second part of the stomach, that is fundus. Look at here. This portion is that the fundus region. Fundus is a small dome-shaped structure. It is elevated above the level of esophageal opening. And third part of this stomach region, that is body or corpus. Look at this. This portion is that the body. The body is the largest part of stomach, forming about 75 to 80% of the whole stomach. It is extended from just below the fundus up to the pyloric region. Okay, up to the pyloric region. Now we see the fourth part of the stomach is that the pyloric region. Look at this. This portion is that the pyloric region. This pyloric region has two parts, that is antrum and pyloric canal. The body of stomach end in the antrum, and junction between the body and stomach, not a stomach, junction between the body and antrum is marked by the angular notch, and that angular notch is called as a incisura angularis. Antrum is continued as the narrow canal, which is called as a pyloric canal, or it is also called as a pyloric end. Pyloric canal opens into the first part of the small intestine, and that first part of the small intestine is that the duodenum. And the opening of pyloric canal is guarded by a sphincter, and that sphincter is called as a pyloric sphincter. It opens towards duodenum. Stomach has two curvature. One on the right side is a lesser curvature, and other on left side is greater curvature. All this is about the four region of the stomach. Now we see the histology of the stomach. Stomach or wall of the stomach is made of same four layer as most of the rest of alimentary canal, but with adaptation to the mucosa and muscularis. For the unique function of the organ. In addition to the typical circular longitudinal muscle, look at this circular longitudinal muscle as well as oblique layer also. The muscularis has inner oblique layer, smooth muscle. Okay. As a result, in addition to moving food through the canal, the stomach can vigorously churn food, mechanically breaking it down into the small particles. And although the wall of the gastric pits are made up of primarily mucous layer, and the gastric gland are made up of by different types of cell. What is that? These glands are made up of variety of secretory cell, and that is a parietal cell, chief cell, mucous neck cell, and enteroendocrine cell. So I just tell you about the parietal cell. Look at this. This parietal cell primarily located in the middle region of the gastric gland or parietal cells, which are among the most highly differentiated of the body's epithelial cells. These relatively large cells produce both hydrochloric acid, that is HCl, and intrinsic factor, and this HCl is responsible for the high acidity, and that is pH 1.5 to 3.5 of the stomach content, and is needed to activate the protein digestive enzyme. That enzyme is the pepsin. And the acidity also kills much of the bacteria you ingest with food and help to denature protein, making them more available for the enzymatic digestion. Intrinsic factor is a glycoprotein necessary for the absorption of vitamin B12 in the small intestine. Now we see the second type of gastric secretory cell, and that the gastric secretory cell is that the chief cell. Okay, this chief cell uh, located primarily in the basal region of gastric gland or chief cell, which secreted pepsinogen, and this pepsinogen is the inactive proenzyme form of the pepsin. HCl is necessary for the conversion of pepsinogen to pepsin. Now we see the third type of gastric cell, that is mucous neck cell. Gastric gland in the upper part of the stomach contain the mucous neck cell that secrete thin acidic mucus. That is much different from the mucus secreted by the goblet cell of the surface of epithelium. The role of this mucus is not currently known. Now we see the fourth type of secretory cell, that is enteroendocrine cell. This enteroendocrine cell found in gastric gland secrete various hormones. Then what type of hormone? That is gastrin, then histamine, then serotonin, stomatostatin. All these hormones secrete this enteroendocrine cell. Now we see the gastric gland. Okay, that is the gastric gland. Any of the branch of tubule in the inner lining of the stomach that secrete gastric juice and protective mucus. There are three types of the gastric gland located beneath the gastric pits within the gastric mucosa, the mucous membrane of the stomach. The gastric mucosa is repeated with innumerable gastric pits which house the gastric gland. The gastric gland, on the basis of their distribution in the stomach, can be classified under following heads. That is cardiac gland, fundal gland, and pyloric gland. So we see here cardiac gland. The cardiac gland are found in the cardia of the stomach, which is the part nearest to the heart and closing the opening where the esophagus joins to the stomach. Only cardiac gland are found here and they primarily secrete mucus. They are fewer in number than the other gastric gland and are more shallow position in the mucosa. There are two kind, either simple tubular with a short duct or compound racemose resembling the duodenal Brunner glands. Now we see the second type of gastric gland, that is a fundal gland. The fundal gland, or it is also called as the oxantic gland, are found in the fundus and body of the stomach. They are simple, almost spread tubes, two or more of which opens into a single duct. Oxantic means acid secreting, and they secrete hydrochloric acid and intrinsic factor. Now we see the third type of gastric gland, that is pyloric gland. The pyloric glands are located in the antrum of the pylorus. They secrete gastrin produced by, that is, the pylorus. The pyloric gland are found in the there's G cell. Their G cell. All this is about the gastric gland, that is their distribution in the stomach, on the basis of their distribution in the stomach, that is gastric gland, fundal gland, and pyloric gland. Now we see the gastric juices. The secretion of gastric gland is known as a gastric juice. Mucous neck cell located near the opening of gastric pit secrete mucus to coat and protect the mucosa from the action of digestive secretion. Chief cells located in the deepest portion of the gastric gland secrete the digestive enzyme pepsinogen, that is the inactive form of pepsin. Gastric lipase and renin parietal cell located in the mid portion of gastric glands secrete hydrochloric acid HCl, an intrinsic factor which is necessary to activate the other enzyme. As the food is mixed with the gastric juice and as chemical digestion occurs, it is converted into an acidic semi-liquid substance called chyme. Small amount of chyme are released intermittently into the duodenum by relaxing the pyloric sphincter. There are usually small constant production of gastric juices, but their secretion can be stimulated by numerous means, that is tasting, smelling, or thinking of foods tends to increase enzyme secretion. The production of gastric juices is limited while a person is asleep, but production resume upon awakening. Consumed food provides additional stimulation necessary for mucus secretion. Some food also contain chemicals that activate enzyme production. Psychological state of fear, sadness, or withdrawal may reduce gastric secretion. Thank you so much.